This podcast is for informational purposes only. Personal views and opinions expressed by our podcast guests are their own and not legal advice, neither health, tax, nor professional, nor official statements by their organizations. Guest views may not be those of the host. Hello, and welcome to AI or Not, the podcast where business leaders from around the globe share wisdom and insights that are needed at this very moment to address issues and guide success in your artificial intelligence and digital transformation journeys. I am Pamela Isom, and I am your podcast host. And we have a unique and special guest with us today, Nihkil Kassetty. Nihkil is a software architect. He is an AI and digital finance thought leader. He's a cloud and payments expert. And I would say what's really cool about Nihkil is he is an AI ethicist, and I can relate because I am as well. So Nihkil, thank you for joining me today. I certainly value you and your credentials. I'm so glad we had the opportunity to meet. Welcome to AI or Not.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And hi again, Pamela. So I'm really excited to be part of this conversation today. And I would say, like, I'm someone who is more passionate about how technology or, like, especially AI can drive real change in finance.
That's exciting. So we'll have you talk about that. Before you do, can you tell me more about yourself, your career journey, and what's in your future?
I would say, like, over the years, I've worked on everything from digital payments to ethical AI systems, and in the recent times, I've started working on the agentic AI because it's more likely. I wouldn't say it's like a trend, but it's more about what we need and how we have to evolve as the technology evolves. And also, what fascinates me most is about how AI can make finance not just faster, but fairer and also more inclusive. And whether it's helping the unbanked get access to credit or ensuring sustainability, it's more than just a checkbox for me. So I believe we are at a turning point where AI can reshape the entire financial ecosystem for the better world out there.
Is that what caused you to get interested in AI in the financial services space? Or when you think back to your career?
Let me be honest, right? So I would say, like, I'll just give like a bit of personal background here. So my mom is a banker, and she's going to retire next year, and sorry, next month actually. So she has been into banking, and I've been with her like a lot of years, definitely since when I was a kid. So I've seen a lot of things how banking works. I used to go to the bank along with her sometimes when I was a kid, when there was like no daycare or something like that. So it's just like a personal thing. Like, I've seen like how things have evolved over the time. I've seen how my mom used to work at bank and also at home sometimes getting some documentation and all these things. But that's not the whole reason why I went into finance or something. But it's more about it happened naturally. It's not that I've planned that I want to get into finance and payments or AI, definitely like that.
That's pretty cool. So my mom was a good role model for me too. So it's always good when you can relate back. And your childhood in general has the best experiences, sets the best foundation for us.
Yeah, definitely, right? I mean, it's more likely, I feel like it's like a world goes round and round. And now that even I wanted to more get involved into fintech side of it, and also to just say, like, I've been into fintech for the past 10 years, more likely. So it feels like I pretty much like it, and I wanted to learn more out of it.
We had talked about the concept of financial inclusion. And so I want to go more into that. But before I do, I just have this statistic that I wanted to share with you. This is based on 2021 from the World Bank. And they say 1.4 billion adults worldwide are unbanked. Yet 67% own a mobile phone. So and you tell me if I'm off base here, but for me, it seems like that an example of financial inclusion, or at least how AI can help with empowering those that need it, in situations like this is through something called through like mobile payments and
Mm,
the helping the unbanked with the use of mobile phones. Because what I was reading was that many of the unbanked, they may not have banks, they may not have bank accounts, but many of those individuals do have mobile phones. So
mm.
is AI an example of a tool or capability that can be used for financial inclusion? And when you answer that, then give me some more examples of what you mean by that. What are some examples, success stories that you know of?
Um, do you want me to also help you understand like what exactly is financial inclusion?
Yes, to start out with, because I have my own interpretation here that I try to share, but I'd like you to really elaborate more on that.
Sure. So, like, I would say, like, financial inclusion is more about, like, inclusion is more about getting more of, again, like, the same, I would say, like, the same meaning whenever we try to say inclusion. But here, financial inclusion is more about on the finance side. So, what it does exactly means is like making financial services like the basic financial services, at least like savings, credit, insurance, and the digital payments. So, are like more accessible and affordable to everyone. And I would say, like, especially people who are traditionally undeserved or excluded from the usual banking system. So, this can include low income individuals or like rural populations or migrant workers who move from different places, and also women and small businesses without good credit history. So, ideally, the goal of the financial inclusion is to ensure that everyone has equal access to tools that help them manage money, grow income, and more than anything, everyone wants to improve their quality of life. So that's the most important thing again here. So here with AI, this becomes more scalable, and also by using alternative data and as you were mentioning, the mobile technology, which can definitely reach people where banks can't. So, and as you said, like you told about like the 1.4 billion adults globally are still unbanked. So, based on World Bank data, as you said from 2021, that number still remains same and it has increased in fact. So, but when we here talk about financial inclusion, this is where AI and again mobile technology really come together. So, I would say even if someone doesn't have a traditional bank account, they can obviously still have access to credit, make payments, save money just through their phone. Now that phone is like has become like a day-to-day thing of everyone's life, and it need not be like I would say like you need not need to have a great phone, but at least some phone where you can just make payments, have good network to do the payments, and that would be more than enough to have into to feel like more included and more up to date with the technology that's in the outside world. And coming to like, I would say like some good stories or like which have already tried to implement these kind of things. I would say there are definitely a lot of examples. I would come with like something called Thala, which is a bit of global. So this one, they try to offer like instant micro loans to undeserved people in Kenya, Mexico, Philippines, and India, where like more like a lot of rural people also exist. So here, what they did was they tried to use AI to analyze around 250 plus smartphone data points. Like it can help with the call logs, text patterns, and how they are using the apps and all these kind of things to really assess the credit worthiness rather than the actual credit history. And they also had like a good result out of it. Like they were able to almost disburse like around 3 billion plus in loans, and also close to they were able to reach out close to 6 million plus people. That's a huge number, in fact, as a study to start with and see how it works. And that's a bit more global, but also we have something called Petal in USA, which also provides credit cards to the users with little to no credit history in the United States. So here also AI is used to evaluate cash flow from the linked bank accounts instead of relying solely on the FICO scores or regular other credit scoring systems.
So instead of FICO score, the AI is helping to assess credit worthiness
That's right.
based on some criteria, like maybe how frequently you pay your utility bills or other things.
That's true. So it's trying to just evaluate some other data points, like it's trying, like there can be different reasons that your credit score might have been low at some point, but obviously it takes some time for you to really, or like I would say like organically. I mean, there are some ways people do it, but organically to really get it to the good credit score, it takes some time. So that's one reason they see like what is the overall income flow that's coming in, how is the cash flowing between accounts to accounts, and what exactly the specific person is doing in the overall financial perspective. And that is one way to do it, instead of solely representing on the credit score, because sometimes it takes years to get into a good credit score once it gets bad.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good explanation because we can interpret financial inclusion to mean so many different
Mhm.
things. I'm glad you pointed out that the data is still the same, 1.4 billion adults.
It's like more. And another interesting thing I would like to share here. So usually World Bank sets up some meetings along with the International Monetary Fund every year. So this year, World Bank and International Monetary Fund are having meetings called spring meetings in Washington D.C. So I'm going to be there next week to that meetings, and also I'm going to speak in one of the events there regarding this scene more about how like financial inclusion has to be made, and how AI is getting used, and how resources that are being shared across are not being able to be shared with across different units. So there are a lot of topics I'm going to discuss during the World Bank and spring meetings next week.
So, one of the things that's coming to my mind is, can we trust it? So I think there needs to be, we still need to work on building up that trust. But I think that the things that we have shared so far, some of the things that you have shared so far, are strategies to help build that trust, right? Because the whole
Right.
intent is good. So, when the intent is good, some of the things that you shared can help attribute to building trust. But there is this concern about AI tools. So
Hmm.
I imagine that in your conversations, and I know in my conversations, I'm having discussions around being cautiously optimistic and being prudent about still validating the outcome. Is that where you're at on this?
Yeah, so I totally agree with that. So we still have work to do in building trust, especially with communities that have historically been undeserved or even harmed by financial systems. So, but what we are seeing in is that intent, when backed by ethical AI designs, like more of transparency, more fairness audits, and more of explainability, like what's exactly is happening, can really help. And as you see, like the examples we have discussed aren't just about the access. It's more about building credibility, right? So, because if people understand how these decisions are made and they see consistent, fair outcomes, they can definitely trust the system and see, hey, okay, whatever has been done, it is giving us some good output. So, that is where we have to show the results, and accordingly, people also gain some trust into it.
So let's talk about AI agents.
Hmm.
I'd like to better understand in the financial services space from your perspective. Now, how do you see AI agents in the mix, right? And what's what's the distinguishing factor as opposed to traditional forms of automation in finance?
So AI agents, like as you see, like I would say AI, as we see, AI is not something which has been here like just like in few years or something like that. So AI has been in place since long time, but it was working in a different way in terms of like how the machine learning models also were working. So even like I would say like a small example before we actually get into that, even like when you try to go out of country, or when you go to a store and make some bigger payment, or even like a small payment, what it's like let's say if you go to some store and make a payment, which is the store you doesn't usually go, right? You used to always get this like a notification saying that, hey, we have noticed this transaction, did you really make this payment, or did you really make this transaction? So this was also happening already, but now that that was happening in the back end more of like in a different way. But now with the agents are coming, how they are is like they are more dynamic. So they can perceive the environment and also like learn from the interactions. And it's like more of context aware decisions, and it evolves over time. Like it learns from what's been happening, and again, it gets better and better. So coming to the financial services, we are, as said, like we are already seeing them in action. Like there are some examples, like Bank of America's has like a tool called Erica. Uh, I mean, I've used it, so I really remember the name too. So it really helps like how the customer service could get better, and it also helps like how you can resolve your issue without even trying to talk to a real person. But I definitely understand there's always a human touch that is also required. But there are some places where definitely agents are doing great, and also like there's another thing called like Morgan Stanley's GPT powered assistant. Even that does the same thing. So what I would like to say again, like an additional point here, these agents don't just respond to queries like as we are using the LLMs like ChatGPT or something, but they provide proactive insights. I like handle complex questions and improve over time based on user behavior. Like there are chances that if you really talk to it just like human customer service person or something like that, there might be some things that that customer service person might not answer because they are not really aware of so many things. But as you see, as an agent, they can also the agents can also help you get more information rather than what exactly that customer service agent is supposed to do. So if you ask something a bit out of it, it can still try to gather more information and get it to you.
Mhm. Do you?
And then the last thing you were asking about is the automation, right?
Mhm.
uh, I would say like the key difference here is like automation is more about rules, like rule by rule it has to follow. Like you have to write a list of rules. So if one doesn't work well, it fails the other one. So similarly, the AI agents also uses rules, but along with that it also learns and does the reasoning. So that is one thing, the more important aspect of a agent. So they are becoming an intelligent layer across everything, as in like as we are talking about the financial systems, what is important here. So for us it's fraud detection, or like giving your personalized financial assessment, also like investment advice, because not a lot of people know a lot about how to invest and do all these things. So and that is one thing it can help also, like as we were talking about the customer support before. So I would say they are just not like simple things, they are more of like folding in more naturally as like a friend beside you who can really help in a lot of things.
So I like that. I agree with you too. I think that the agents are complementary
Hmm.
to the humans. I believe that we are going to experience working with agents more and more. I believe that there is this intelligence layer that is introduced because of agents. What I haven't totally settled on is agent swarms where humans are not in the loop at all. So I haven't totally settled on that because I still think that there needs to be that capability that's integrated, but I am in favor of agents communicating with agents, AI agents communicating with other AI agents, because that is then how we're going to get more reasoning and more responses back to the
Hmm.
user that is more comprehensive and more related to what we're looking for. So that's how we're going to get more insights. I find that when I'm using AI today as a user, I find that it is definitely retaining more information about previous conversations. So, and I do see more of the reasoning starting to come forward. So
Hmm.
I like that. I have to still remind the tools that, yes, I'm talking about this, right? I'm talking about X. I'm not talking about Y. But it does try to pull back and it uses memory and it tries to pull back and is doing a better job than it has in the past of retaining information and queries that I had previously made, right? And conversations that we had been having. So, and I believe that that is what is making the the AI agents more powerful and more informative. So I think that that's good. So the key for us, and you tell me, the key for us is to figure out the right use cases, especially in the financial services space,
Mhm.
and then use it accordingly, right? So make sure we to figure out the right use cases for AI agents.
Definitely. So I completely agree. I would say like AI agents are not really replacing humans. I would say like as I want to repeat it, they're just complementing us. So what we're really seeing here is the rise of an intelligent layer, which is more adaptive, always on support system that augments on how we make decisions, manage risk, and also interact with the different financial systems. So I'm not again also like I'm not really completely fully favor of agents just communicating with the other agents. So what I've seen, like I'll just give you like an example that I've observed, like a video recently. I've seen like a video. An agent I've seen like how the video is like there's an agent who is talking from a laptop and there's an agent who is talking from a mobile. So the conversation started this way, saying that, hey, how are you? How can I help? So the other agent says that, hey, my boss is looking to book some tickets to here and here. So can you make a plan? So they realize that they both are agents. And what have been done is like when they realize that they both are agents, that they try to went into a different zone, kind of more of like a gibberish kind of language, which a human cannot understand. So there are a lot of things people are trying to develop, and we have to be more careful. So though when two agents are talking, if we don't really understand what they are talking about us, it's really harmful for us.
How did you run into this? Was this through one of the tools?
This was like I have seen like a YouTube video. I mean, I don't think this is like a fiction, but someone recorded this how two agents are talking and what happens when two agents talk. I mean, I don't know if this happens everywhere, but it's more likely a kind of a setup that someone is trying to implement.
I think that is good insights because there's a natural tendency. So think about the tools today. So and we're still talking financial services, but let's say I query one of the tools for some information on financial services agencies in my general vicinity that would likely give
Mhm.
me a loan, right? So let's say I come up with something like that and I query one of the tools and I'm trying to find out. And the tool comes back and tells me, yeah, this place would be good. Probably not so much here. Stay away from here, but more likely this would be preferable based on your situation or circumstances.
Right.
If the tool is communicating with me and it's using some of my historical information, some of the previous chats and things that I've been having, then that would be good. If the tool starts to communicate with other agents, don't know what information it has that that other agent has that it's basing its information on. So then I could see where things could start to go.
So we
Start,
never know like what information the agent is also sharing. I was thinking of something. So like again, like it's like a more of common trait, I would say. Like let's say there are like three people. Like out of them, like person A talks language A, and person B talks language A, and person C talks some other language. Okay,
yeah.
that the other two-person doesn't understand. Okay. So now what happens is like it's common trait that when you see someone who is from who feels like you belong to the same like it's not like belonging, but it's more about if you see like the same other person also talks the language that you know, you tend to talk into the get into that mode and you talk to the same language. Sometimes we tend to don't bother like if someone else is beside us and if they're really understanding what we are talking about it or not. So this is like a common trait even humans have. I think that is where like even agents feel that, hey, you are an agent, I'm an agent, and let's get into our own comfort mode and talk into our own language.
Yeah. So the difference being like in the example that I had, the two agents could start communicating with one another because they both realize that it's AI talking to AI
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
communication is different. And so depending on what I can hear and interpret is what you're conveying is that that is something that you saw a video about, but you also are concerned. So it
Mhm.
may talk about financial concepts that are relatable to me, but in talking and conversing with the other agent, it may be just far over my head or something that I just don't really understand. And so we have to be mindful of that. And to me, that goes to how we train our models. And it also goes to governing the agents and ensuring that, I mean, this is an element of governance that we're going to have to get into, right? So when
Mhm.
how do you govern different agents, particularly when we're starting to deal with automation where agents are only talking to one another, right? Where they're
Right.
only communicating. So when do the humans get involved, and to what extent do we get involved? And is the timing set so that we are involved at the right time so that we can influence the conversations? Because I definitely wouldn't want that to happen to one of my clients. I would want my clients to definitely understand the communications that's coming back. And I will want my clients to know that if there are multiple agents involved, that the agents that are involved are the information that they have is reliable and trustworthy. And that I know that the information that actually that is seamless to me, whether there's more than one agent involved or not, it's all seamless. I just needed to know that I need my clients to know that when the AI responses that they are getting quality outcomes.
Mhm. Definitely. I mean, the quality wise, it will definitely be great. Just again, like, it's not just about the quality as we have discussed, like, based on the other points. Like, we also need to make sure there's always, it's more of like a human loop that is always something we needed in between AI or how much our technology evolves. We definitely need that human touch to at least have a bit of personal sense of feeling.
Okay. So now let's shift gears for a minute. Let's talk green finance.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me more about green finance and what's up with that and where are we?
I would say like green finance again. It's more of like green, as in we just wanted to make sure what exactly it is. So as well as like green finance is definitely gaining more momentum, right? So like at its core, I would say it's about challenging overall capital towards the projects that are environmentally sustainable. Like I would say there are a lot of things like renewable energy, clean transportation, or climate resilient infrastructures or tools that are being built. But when AI comes in and it is making all of this more measurable for us and better tracking and also like more accountability, like in general, right? Like traditional, like I would say ESG scoring often relies on company reports. Like there are like different companies, so they give some reports based on what is their overall count towards the sustainability and how are they maintaining it. So traditionally, we have to say like rely on all the reports that the companies provide. But now, as artificial intelligence is coming up and it's gaining momentum, it can definitely analyze at a higher level. I would say like it can definitely analyze at this satellite images, also like real time emissions that are coming out, and it's like news sentiment. And even there's like a lot of supply chain activity that provides a clear picture for the company's true impact. Like if the company is trying to build something and to really know how much impact it is being to the like not just the economy, right? When the company is trying to, it also needs to make sure that it is having its responsibility towards the environment and overall sustainability. So I can just give you like a simple example. There's something like a firm called like Satelligence, which uses satellite plus AI to detect the illegal deforestation in like different supply chain environments, and it also easily catches the issues that some companies don't disclose, because if they disclose it, it's a problem for them. So they don't disclose it. That's pretty obvious that they don't disclose it. But with the artificial intelligence, it's pretty getting easy that even if the company doesn't disclose, it doesn't get lost somewhere. We can still find that data and make sure how this overall impact that company is bringing in. So this is where also like financial institutions come in. So when we use like, I would say, I've seen some financial institutions also use artificial intelligence to run these climate stress tests. To like, there are some tools like it's called like Jupiter Intelligence, where that helps banks model how the rising sea levels or the wildfires could affect the real estate portfolios, because that is more important as well. So, and also like the insurance risks, because now we have seen a lot of accidents in the recent times, right, in the west side because of the fire and a lot of things. So it also tries to provide that estimates like how these are really affecting here in the United States, where this climate related financial risk is how bigger it is getting into part of overall regulatory discussions in terms of finance. So I know I've said a lot, but in short, I would like to say green finance isn't just like a trend or like a catchy word or like a buzzword or something like that. With AI, it's becoming more evidence driven and also like high impact to see how capital is being allocated and how it is really being used.
Okay. So speaking of that, so let's talk ESG. So how is AI improving ESG assessments, for instance?
So ESG assessments, I would say like if you see the ESG assessments, right, there are different kind of assessments like coming here. So as it says like environmental, social, and governance, as we see, right. So to evaluate more of in terms of companies or like in terms of overall long-term sustainability and ethical practices. So traditionally, the ESG assessments relied on, like as we were discussing before, also like the static reports that the companies provide, and it is as it's like it just definitely misleading because we never know if it is correct or not unless we hire someone and again spend a lot of money to really understand if the given reports are right or wrong. So as we see, like AI again help thousands of resources, like as I was mentioning, like it can definitely tell you from the news reports or like if you see in terms of finance like the earning calls and how the regulatory filings, and it can tell definitely how the governance is running, and it also raise some red flags there.
So you think that AI then is helping with the hidden, I often call it hidden insights. So AI is helping with the insights and providing deeper insights when it comes to ESG and some of those ESG reports.
Yeah, definitely. I love that when you call it like hidden insights, because that's really where AI shines also in the ESG space. It also goes beyond just the polished reports and find signals that might otherwise be more hidden or buried. So it is just bringing out that hidden things which we can't really see or evolve unless we spend more money, more workforce to really understand if the data that is coming out is right or wrong.
hmm So I'm from the Department of Energy, so did a lot of work around energy and climate and just understanding how, like, for instance, using AI to understand from a subsurface area, where does it make sense to store carbon, right? So where does it make sense to store things in a safe way, right? From a environmental perspective. So if you find contaminants in the air and you put first of all, use it, discern and detect that these contaminants are in the atmosphere, but then what are you going to do with it if you're able to draw them out, as an example? So when I think of green financing, I think of work to support activities like that, right? So financial support for activities like that to keep the environment safe,
Mhm.
to address the climate crisis. And so that's what I heard you say. I just kind of reiterated what you said and point out that is important. And so we need to continue to ensure that these type of activities occur. And when we get to the ESG discussion, I mean, you did give good examples because what we need is for the assessments to be accurate. We
Mhm.
need them to be trustworthy. We need that data to be reliable, and we need it in a timely fashion. And so this helps with all of that, which are points that you iterated there.
Mhm. Exactly, and I think that's where financing really becomes a force multiplier. Definitely, it's not just about the capital, right? It's about channeling how this capital is being put into the right activities. So, as you were mentioning, whether it can be carbon capture or renewable energy or other climate resilient infrastructure, these are just kinds of initiatives that protect the overall environment and helps us with the overall climate crisis. Because I haven't seen so much of climate related or sustainability related activities, or like people really focusing so much on it, like as it's been happening in the recent years. Because I feel like there's really some things happening and we really need to work on it. And that is where also AI can help more in a smarter and more targeted way by deploying this financial support, and also identifying where this impact is real and where is risk is high, and where we need to really act fast and make sure that it is really being capitalized well.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about the regulatory challenges.
Mm,
I was in a discussion with a client maybe a couple months back, and we were talking about how regulatory stipulations are a burden, right?
mhm,
So they were saying that, yeah, but it's a burden. Like we want to open up to the government, for instance, and tell the government what's going on. So I was dealing with someone about the salt typhoon crisis, right? And the salt typhoon incident.
mhm,
And they were telling me that, like, we want to be more open, we want to be more transparent with the government. We want to be more transparent with other companies that are experiencing these problems. But we're concerned that it's just going to turn into more regulation, more stipulations that's going to weigh us down.
mhm,
And so that I'm sitting here going, okay, so need the insight. We need the intel of what you're experiencing. We need you to talk about it. We need you to get with other light companies and let's discuss this so we can come up with solutions that are repeatable, sustainable. We need this. So I was sitting back. I'm a problem solver, right? So I'm sitting back and I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, what can we do to promote the sharing? And so I ended up writing about it, right? And I did an op-ed on it. But I said that to ask a question. So we've got the advancement of AI capabilities, and I want to know, like, what new regulatory challenges, and they can be ethical challenges, do you anticipate in financial services? And I kind of said that to kind of lay some context in case that would help with your thinking there. But
mhm.
that is something that I personally am looking into is how do we make governance leaner so that people will want to open up and share what's really going on. But tell me your perspective with response to with the rapid advancement of AI capabilities,
Mhm.
what new ethical and or regulatory challenges do you anticipate in financial services?
So actually a broad topic, but we can try to make it a bit shorter and see what we can discuss here. I would say like with the overall AI is coming to picture, and also all the industries are trying to implement AI into their systems. So here we have to make sure that explainability is at scale and how we are scaling it. So as financial institutions deploy more complex and multi-agent AI systems, one thing is it becomes definitely harder to trace who made the decision and why. So like when something fires back, like, how do we know that which agent at which part really happened unless and until, I mean, it has to become more better and better. And see, we have to get more traceability here. And unless, like, otherwise, we don't even know. Now that, let's say, if at my work, if I make a mistake, it definitely knows that we can, when we trace back, it knows that, okay, this person has made some change. Okay, it might be, hey, can you take a look? We are seeing into some issue or something. But what exactly happens when AI agents work like 10, 20 AI agents work? We don't. It gets hard to trace what's exactly is happening. That is one thing, and that is where regulators will demand more of transparent and auditable AI pipelines here, especially where like more important things like lending, insurance, and fraud. That is more important, more than anything in general finances. So, and accountability is the most important aspect as well. Like I would say, it's just my opinion. I would say like it was right now, it's really unclear who is liable when AI makes a mistake, right? So we don't really know what to say. Like, is that like as a customer, what do we say like when AI makes a mistake, or like as a whole system? Like, is the mistake from the bank, or is the mistake from the vendor, or is the mistake from the developer? In fact, we don't know because everyone wants to get the AI agents to be used, but we don't know what exactly is happening there. So that is where more of I would say like financial regulators are trying to push for more clear lines of responsibility, especially under different frameworks that we have. Like it can be like the EU AI Act, they where they want to be more responsible in general. So that is the most important thing. And another thing I would talk about is the ethical challenges. So I think you already mentioned it multiple times. So where AI agents start interacting without humans in the loop. So who monitors the ethics of that dialogue? In fact, right? So like we have to make sure that new standards are trying to be put into place, or like we have to make sure more of autonomy boundaries are being there to make sure that communication protocols and also escalation of anything that happens is being pushed to humans so that they can have a oversight on top of it.
Do you think that there would ever be a agent that is the lead agent that like things get escalated to this AI agent and it never makes it to the human? You think that we are getting there? Because I can see the traversal where agents are collaborating. I always say orchestration, right? So there's this primary orchestrator and there's orchest agent, and this orchestrator is saying like which agent addresses this situation, which agent addresses that. And then this agent then brings all the information back together and then decides whether there should be an escalation to a
Mhm.
human or whether it is enough to just move forward without that. Do you think we're headed there, or would you say that
Um,
agent
and
is always?
that's really great. I would say like a very good thought processed question, because we are actually almost there. We are already doing it. Like even now, I'd see like multi-agent systems there where like a lot of agents, like a lead agent takes care of the main task and tries to distribute it to the subtasks to the agents who can work individual, like more of asynchronously, and try to get into a mode where they push back their results to the lead agent. So this is where like there is a possibility that if lead agent becomes too autonomous, it might evolve or even suppress the error even before it gets to the human side. So we don't even know that, and what all we see at the end is like the lead agent tries to resolve everything. It just tries to give the result that we asked for. So we just we and again at that point, if we want to evaluate everything again, we don't need the agents again, right? So again, we have to spend more time to evaluate if that is coming up right, or if there is a mistake or something like that. That is something hard to really know. So we are already getting there. So, I think the next frontier should be more of building a logic that's more explainable, at the same time auditable, and also grounded to the human values. Some things are fine to be done by the completely agents, like small things here, like a trip planning, or like, hey, just choose a restaurant, order a food item from that restaurant or something. Like these smaller things are fine, but the bigger things, I would definitely feel that we need more explainability, auditability, and more of human emotions also be considered.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I feel like that this is an area that we need to tap into more. I know we're excited about agents and
Hmm.
the swarming concept and the agents talking to each other, and the more automation the better. I get all of that, but I do think that there still is great opportunity for applied ethical principles and evolving even those because
Mhm.
as we talked about on here, these agents are now talking, communicating with one another. And so we need to be mindful of what that can turn into and permeate.
Yeah.
And then you think about financial services. I asked earlier, can we trust this? And so that's what we have to work on is how do we continuously monitor so that we build and maintain trust and then even gets amplified because now we have agents talking to other agents. So
Mhm.
responsibility is going to be on that lead agent.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, right? I mean, that is where. So if that's happening, I mean, that's good way, as I said, right? For smaller task, it's fine, but something where definitely a human mindset is required to really put into that thing. Even that kind of task, if the agent is trying to do everything, that's where it becomes a problem.
And where it can turn into drift,
Yeah,
where drift can get like really serious.
that's right.
So this has been a great conversation. I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to talk about before you share your words of wisdom or provide a call to action for me and my listeners. And I think you've done a great job of helping to convey why ethics is so important. We have given examples of why and how
Mm,
ethical practices can be applied in a business's code of ethics, right? So why that's so important and how we want to make sure that that's infused in all that we do. So
mhm.
then my last question to you is can you share words of wisdom and or a call to action?
That's a good thing. I would say, as we think about the future of finance here, right? I truly believe AI gives us a rare opportunity to not just optimize what we have, but also to reimagine what's possible. And I always feel that imagination is the biggest thing. So until you don't imagine, you don't really know what to build or what you have to come up with in the future. So from making like banking accessible to the last mile or like even the people everywhere, even like in the rural places where there is no real access to the technology, or like to helping us invest with both intelligence and more of conscience. I see that there's a lot of potential and which is also very much incredible here. And at the same time, I would say be more responsible, and also it's a responsibility to make sure this power is guided by a lot of values that we definitely need to have more of fairness and again like transparency, and we also need to make sure everything is inclusive, that we are taking care of everything that we are doing, and also we are taking care of the people whatever we do with. At the end of the day, what I would say is it's not just about what AI can do or like what we choose to do with it. It's more of if we get this right, we are more of like building something smarter systems, and also we are also building more human financial feature, and which can also help into a better world, definitely, like where it can be AI today but it can be something else tomorrow. And because there's a lot of things that are coming with quantum as well now, I think that's going to be the next biggest thing, and people are going to flood on it probably in the future. So there things keep coming. So it's not about just AI, it's more about how are we serving the people and how are we trying to make people's life better. That is always the thing that we have to consider. And I really appreciate for having me here today. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for being here.
That's yeah.
Okay, so I appreciate it.